students. Today I am going to teach you the poem Vocation. So this poem is written by Rabindranath Tagore. As you are much aware about Rabindranath Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore was a famous Indian educator and poet. He wrote and composed the national anthems of two countries, India and Bangladesh. So Rabindranath Tagore was what? An Indian educator as well as a poet. And he not only wrote the national anthem of India but also of Bangladesh. He started writing poems at the age of 8. So when he was 8 years old, he started writing poems. In 1901, he moved to Santiketan to start a school which is now the famous Visva Bharati University. So in 1901, he moved where? Santiketan to start a school, and now which has become a university. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature for his collection of poems Gitanjali in 1913. So for his poem he was awarded what? Nobel Prize. So vocation. What is the meaning of vocation? Vocation means the type of work or the type of life which you think is more suitable for you. Sometimes you think that what the other person is doing, the same thing you want to do. Yes or no? So when you were younger, did you ever wish that you were someone else or that you could do something that was not a part of your daily routine? Now also you are younger only, children. So have you ever wished or thought that you want to do something other than study which was not a part of your daily routine? So just if you have not thought, just think about it. Let us read a poem that expresses a similar wish. So now let's read the poem. When the gong sounds 10 in the morning, and I walk to school by our lane, every day I meet the hawker crying. What is the meaning of hawker? A person who makes money by selling goods he carries with him. So hawker means a person who sells the goods which is with him and he makes money. Bangles, crystal bangles. What is the meaning of crystal? Transparent bangles. There is nothing to hurry him on. There is no road he must take, no place he must go to, no time when he must come home. I wish I were a hawker, spending my day in the road, crying bangles, crystal bangles. So here the poet is saying that in the morning at 10 o'clock when he was going to school, each and every day he met a hawker who is selling what? Transparent bangles. And the hawker is not in a hurry. That means slowly he is walking on all roads, on all places, and he did not worry that he have to return home fast. So what does the poet is referring here? That he want to be a hawker. The poet wants to be a hawker because he wants to spend his day in the road and want to sell what? Bangles. So here the poet is busy, quite busy, as he have to go to school and he want to change his life. So he want to become a hawker, as the hawker has no tension. That means there is no one for him to tell that you have to return home time, and freely he can move everywhere on all roads, on all places, and there is no time limit for him to come back home. And he is spending his whole day in the roads by selling bangles. So here the poet wished to be a hawker. Here you can see in this picture, this is the hawker who is selling this transparent bangles. Now next, when at 4 in the afternoon I come back from the school, I can see through the gate of that house the gardener digging the ground. He does what he likes with his spade. What is the meaning of spade? A garden tool with a broad metal blade and a long handle used for digging. Here you can see this is the metal blade which helps the gardener to dig the ground. He soils his clothes with dust. Soils means make something dirty. Nobody takes him to task. The meaning of task is scolds him. If he gets baked in the sun or gets wet, I wish I were a gardener digging away at the garden with nobody to stop me from digging. So in the first para, the poet wants to be a hawker. Now here in the second para, when at 4 o'clock the poet is returning from his school, through his gate of the house, what he see? He saw the gardener digging the ground with the help of the spade. And the gardener, when the gardener is digging the ground, what happens? His clothes got dirty, as well as there is no one to scold him that why you are wet, why your clothes are dirty. There is no one to put a question to him. There is no one to scold the gardener. So here the poet wished to be a gardener because he wants to dig the garden so that nobody stops him from digging that garden. So here the poet wants to be a gardener so that he can spend a free life. Now next para. Just as it gets dark in the evening and my mother sends me to bed, I can see through my open window the watchman walking up and down. The lane is dark and lonely, and the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. The watchman swings his lantern and walks with his shadow at his side and never once goes to bed in his life. I wish I were a watchman walking the streets all night, chasing the shadow with my lantern. So, in the morning, the poet wished to be a what? Hawker. Now at 4 o'clock, the poet wished to be a gardener. Now at night, here you can see the watchman. This is the watchman. Now at night, when the poet mother sends the poet to the bed, now from his open window he can see what? The watchman who is walking on the road every night. The watchman is not sleeping and he is free to move on the road. On which road? Where the road is lonely. No one is there on the road. So here the poet wants to be a watchman so that the whole night he can spend on streets. He can walk on streets and there is no worry to sleep. There is no one to tell him that you must go to bed to sleep. So in this poem, what do you understand? That the poet wants to live a free life. That means which was not a part of his daily routine. Here in the first para, the poet wants to be a hawker. Why? Because the hawker was roaming on the road, on each and every place, and there is no time limit for him to come back to home. And in the second para, at 4 o'clock, when he returns from his school, what he saw? He saw a gardener digging the ground, and he wants to be a gardener. Why? Because there is no one for the gardener to scold him for his dirty clothes, and freely he can do his work without any task. Now in the third para, the poet wants to be a watchman so that he can move on the lonely road without any tension, and there is no one for him to send him to the bed. So this is the wishes of a poet which he wants to be. So dear children, this is quite an interesting poem. That means a life which you wished. So the question answers of all the chapters as well as the exercise I will put in the lofty. So please write down all the question answers as well as word meaning in your notebook and complete all the exercise in your book. Thank you.